Hey everyone, today we are going to understand what is MCP Server. We will also build our own MCP server and connect it to Claude Desktop. So let's start. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's an open source standard of connecting AI applications to external systems. The biggest bottleneck of AI before MCP was its isolation. We had like amazing LLMs trapped in a black box which cannot see our file systems, our project database, or even, let's say, our schedules on Google Calendar. But with MCP, we now have a standard way of connecting to external data source and tools. Let's see what the documentation says. It says, think of MCP like a USB-C port for AI applications. Just as USB-C provides a standardized way to connect to electronic devices, MCP provides a standardized way to connect AI applications to external systems. Now let's understand the architecture. As you can see on the left-hand side, it's the client side of AI application where your user gives the prompt. Then this client side talks to MCP server to get if any tool or data source is available or not. If any tool is available, then the AI application would call that tool with some parameter. Then the MCP server will call the data source or the external API to fetch the data and pass it as a response back to AI application. Now let's understand how the client application, basically your AI application, communicates with the MCP server. MCP uses JSON RPC 2.0, which is lightweight and handles the request response cycles perfectly. It has two main ways using which the data is moved. First is STDIO, standard input output. If you're running it locally, then the host will communicate it via command line. It's incredibly fast and secure because nothing leaves your system. Second is SSE, server sent events. If your data lives in cloud, then MCP uses HTTP and SSE to stream information back to AI. Now let me show you how you can build your own MCP server. Let's first of all go to the documentation and go to build an MCP server. Change the language here to TypeScript and scroll down. Here we have to initialize the node package. Yeah. And then install these two dependencies. Okay. Let me create an index.js file. Let's import MCP server. Let's create a server instance. And this will have a name. Let's say MCP demo and a version. Let's say 1.0.0. Now let's create a transport object from stdio server transport. And this will be passed in server connect. Now let me create a simple tool where you can ping and in response, it will give you pong. So just to verify if your MCP is properly working. Here, the first parameter is the name of the tool. And then there will be a description. Input schema. Z from Zord is for input validation. Third thing will be a function which will return the content from the server. The type will be text. And here in text, we are going to send pong MCP is working. So here is a simple tool that we have built. Now let me run this files to verify if everything is properly working. Yeah, so no error, it is working fine. Now let's open Claude Desktop. Okay, if you come here in settings, in developer settings, you'll see you have an edit config button. Just click on it and find this Claude Desktop config.json and it will look like this. You need to update this object. In the documentation, if you scroll down, you'll find this. Just copy this and paste it over here. change the name of your MCP server and copy the file path of this index.js and paste it over here. Okay, this seems fine. Now we need to restart Claude and let's try ping. All right, here it is asking to call the MCP tool. I'll allow. And the response says the MCP connection is working. That means everything is working fine. Now let us create a tool that will connect to our database and fetches data from there. For that, I'll be using Supabase. I already have a couple of tables here and that has some data. So let's just see here in orders. You can see there is some data and product is there and there are some users. Okay, now to query on Supabase, we need to install this package, supabase/supabase-js. Okay. Okay, now let me just import to create a client for Supabase. Okay, so const Supabase. As you can see, the first parameter is Supabase URL and a Supabase key we have to pass. So I'll just say Supabase URL and Supabase key. Okay, now we need to also add it. So I'll just add Supabase URL here and Supabase key. You can find Supabase URL and the key on your project overview page. Just scroll down and here is the project URL that you need to copy. And the publishable API key here, copy paste. And there you go. Your client is created. And now you can use the Supabase to query. Let's create the tool. Let me name the tool as get all users first. And the second parameter will be description that again I'll say fetches and returns all users from the Supabase database. Use this when the user asks about users from the DB. Okay. Wants to see user data or requests user information. Okay, now input schema, which will take z.object and we'll give limit because we don't want to query the entire database. So that will be a number, and by default, let's keep it to 10. Okay, and let's add describe, which will be maximum number of users to return. All right, now let's write the function. I've added a try catch block here. Try, let's call the wait Supabase dot from users dot select all dot limit to limit that we can get from here. It comes as a state. Yeah, and since this is a wait, we need to add a async here. Okay, and let's destructure it here and add limit. Yeah. All right, and let's also add an error here. So if any error is there, we'll just return content as type as text, and in text error fetching users, and here we'll add error dot message. Okay, and also is error to true, and we'll copy the same thing in catch block, and we'll just change the text a little bit, remove this part, and then if there is no error, we'll return type text as JSON dot stringify the data. Here you go. So your tool is ready. Now let's restart Claude and try to use this tool. Okay, if you'll see in the table, we have 4 users. Now let's verify it via Claude desktop. Tell me about all the users we have in the DB. Okay, it's asking me to run the server. Yeah, here you go. Here we get all the users that is there in the database. All right. So this was the tool where we used the database, but now we are going to use a slightly complex thing where we are going to modify the query. And for that, let's name the tool as get user orders. So in this, the goal is to get all the orders for a particular user. So the description will be fetch order details for a specific user, returns order ID, user name, product name, quantity, total price, and creation date. Use this when asked about orders or purchases. In input schema, z dot object will pass email, z dot string, and describe as the email ID of the user to fetch orders. And limit z dot number dot default to 10, because obviously we don't want to query the entire DB, and maximum number of orders to return. Now, a async function where we'll get email and limit, and a try catch block. Inside try, let's prepare a query. Superbase dot from orders dot select ID, quantity, total price. Let me check. What is it? Total underscore price. Created at. And user inner. Basically, we are inner joining here. ID, name, and email. Also on product table, we'll give ID, name, and should be equal to user email, which we are going to provide in the prompt. So email here, and we'll limit it to 10. Okay, let's run the query here. Data error await query. Now we'll do a check. If error, let me just copy paste this. Yeah, and here let me just iterate and create a formatted data from data, and here I'll add all the key values, and if there is no error in content type text, and text as JSON dot stringify formatted data. Yes, and in catch block I'll again copy this thing. Okay, now this tool is also ready. Now let's restart Claude, and let's see in the database we have 4 orders placed. Let's go and ask about all the users first. Okay, it is calling get all users, and here it is, all the users we are getting from the database. Let me take an email ID. Okay, now I'll ask give me all the order details by this email ID. Now let's see. Okay, it is asking me for the tool usage and order 1, order 2. Here you go. So by this user there are 2 orders placed, and here are the details. And that's how you create MCP server, and you can connect it to any data source or any external API. So this is how you can create your own MCP server. You can be as creative as possible. Maybe create an MCP server, put it behind a pricing model, and put it on internet for people to use, right? So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and do subscribe this channel for more such content. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.